Hey everyone, my name is Elijah and this video is about functional analysis and bubble diagramming. So some quick definitions. A functional analysis is a process of understanding what spaces are needed and how they relate. So it's usually in this process that the architect and the client will form a program and they'll kind of figure out like what spaces should be close to each other, um, what what should exist and what should not, and etc. Bubble diagrams are just kind of born out of the process of the functional analysis. And essentially what they are is they're quick sketches that use simple shapes to explore how spaces connect. And they do help you to organize the layout before drawing a plan. So in this video, I'll kind of refer to the two terms interchangeably because I feel like they're born out of the same process. But yeah, let's look at some examples. So this is an example of a bubble diagram, but you can see here that the small circles here represent a space within this person's project. And you can see like the size of the space is taken account for in the size of the circle. There's access to daylight shown, adjacencies, how spaces sort of connect. And there's even color coding to show maybe what's more central and what's less central. This is essentially the same concept, but in a more rectangular form, just showing like, you know, the arrows represent adjacency, green space where people are coming from and where cars are coming from, and those are good to take into account for. So this is an example of what I did for a wellness center. I did this on Bluebeam, and we'll learn how to do it later. But I kind of had a description here, some explanations to the program additions I've made, and then obviously the bubbles themselves. And this is the second story version of it. So in this video, we'll be making a functional analysis board for our interpretive center, both for the first floor and the second floor. And we'll kind of have like the program open and our partie, and we'll just kind of like use it to create our functional analysis. So this is our first floor, and this is our second floor. And I'll kind of explain more of the design choices behind it as I go. But yeah, let's jump into the tutorial. All right, let's get started. So one thing I like to do is have my partie open, whether it's on Bluebeam or SketchUp or Sketchbook, just to make sure my functional analysis fits within my partie or my concept. So let's get started. So I have a blank 11 by 17 drawing of my site here, and what I'm going to do is use this measurement tab to establish a scale that we can use to create the bubbles with the accurate square footage. So what's great about this drawing is that there's already a set scale here, and what I'm going to do is set my Bluebeam scale to about 1/16 of an inch. You can play around with it and just verify that it's the correct scale by using this length tool and making sure this distance is about 8 feet. So yeah, about 8 feet. Cool. So we can start making our bubbles. But before that, we're actually going to set up our pages so that we have a first floor and second floor functional analysis. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this page over. And I'm going to use the text tool just to create a quick label. So I'll just do like first floor, interpretive center site, or I'm sorry, functional analysis. And then I'll just copy that over to my other page and title it second floor. Cool. So now we're going to start making our bubbles. So I'm going to go back into the measurement tool here and just kind of draw a bubble using this diameter tool. It's kind of like out here. And in this menu bar, it gives me a couple options, such as label, area, volume, etc. And the thing we want to most pay attention to is area and the label. So for example, I'll pull up my program here. and we'll make one bubble. So let's say we want to have an entry visitor reception area that's about 1,000 square feet. What I'm going to do is make sure that square feet is shown in this label, or I'm sorry, bubble, by clicking this area, and then unclicking the diameter, and I'm going to label it entry visitor reception. I'm going to make sure my label is shown too. So you can see that it's about 454 square feet, but we want it to be 1,000, so I'm just going to drag it up to about the rough um, correct number. So that's about fine. So if you don't want to see like this weird number here with the decimals and just like it's not accurate, what I'm going to do is just unclick this area button and type it in the label, so 1,000 square feet. And that makes it much cleaner. There are a couple of graphic tweaks we can do to this bubble, like setting a color, changing the line weight. So what I'm going to do is turn off the line weight and just use a fill pattern to create that clean colored space. And just kind of maybe set the opacity down so you can see underneath the site. Adjust the font to maybe be like 8 points, make it black. And one thing we also want to pay attention to is this totals here. And we're going to detach that so we can actually see the actual square footage of the bubble here. So what I'm now going to do is draw all the bubbles. And I'll kind of speed this up just so you can see my process. And then after that, I'll show you guys how I like to format my first and second floor functional analysis. So let's go. Cool. All right. So now that I have all my bubbles in, I'm just going to give like a very rough draft of where I want my spaces on the first floor to be. So I'll kind of describe my process and I'll copy or maybe go off of what I had done previously just to make the design process a little faster. But of course, you're welcome to create iterations, just experiment. So one thing I wanted in my interpretive center was to make my community hall kind of upfront from all the pedestrian traffic that's coming into the center. I also wanted my environmental science classroom to kind of be next to it and maybe even have it open up into the community hall. Maybe I'll put my storage in between and just kind of have like those like bifolding doors that can turn into chair storage in between. Maybe I'll have my interpretation space next to the community hall and then maybe just shove my restrooms just kind of off to the side here. Electrical and mechanical could probably go right next to the restrooms, and this will just be like the mechanical area. This atrium, I kind of want to make it an outdoor atrium and just like increase the size to just encompass this whole central area. So I'm just going to increase it in size, maybe change the square footage to like to about 1,000 square feet, and just title it outdoor atrium. After that, just to kind of distinguish it as an outdoor space, I'm just going to make it a white bubble and just have the outline be like this very faint dashed black line. I'll also shove the reception area just kind of out here. It could be like an outdoor garden or something, and just have it be about 1,000 square foot is fine, but also match the graphics of this one. Cool. Maybe I'll make these a little bit back. So I'll just remove this reception space. I'll put my stair like about right here and my elevator about here. Or maybe my stair off to kind of like here, where people enter and have the option of going up. And my interpretive space just kind of like off to here. So now that I have my first floor laid out, I'm going to take all of these bubbles. I'm going to copy them, go down into my second floor space, and then just copy it or paste it in. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of shove it into the area that it is. I'm going to group it by right-clicking and hitting group. And to kind of imply that this space is just like underneath the second floor, I'm going to add the fill to about, I'm just going to add like a gray fill and have it be like 10%. Cool. And then I'm going to take my leftover spaces, so this office space and outdoor patio, and just put on top. I probably want to extend the outdoor patio space to maybe go over the community hall, just so it's like a complete 2-story building. So I'm just going to copy this over. Cool. I'm also going to copy over the stair and the elevator, just because they are both program elements that go into both floors. And then maybe what I now want to do, after having all my bubbles in place, is maybe showing circulation. So I'll just use a simple line tool in Bluebeam. Just kind of draw off like where I think circulation is going to go. Red line is pretty good to show that I'll probably increase the line weight to about 2.25, and then just draw another line right here. Then out here, I'm probably going to do the same, since there's going to be probably a path of circulation here. And then I kind of want the environmental science classrooms and community hall to kind of like open up into the outdoor atrium, and this will be how they're accessed. So the path of travel or the path of circulation is going to be just like right outside them. All right. So after that, I'm going to make sure to hit save as, and just go into my Interpretive Center folder and probably save it in schematic design. I'll put today's date, so it's like 25/07/26, and then I'll title this functional analysis. Cool. So that's how you make a functional analysis. I encourage you to kind of like explore. Just copy this file over, play with the bubbles again. You know, the design process for this is like very iterative. Architects come up with multiple versions of these. So it's obviously normal to not get it on your first try. But yeah, I hope to see you in my next video. And yeah, all right.